What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of Freshman Feature. Steven Ostentoski here of Maize and Brew. Welcome to episode 5. We're covering 3-star inside linebacker out of West Bloomfield, Michigan. Early enrollee, Dartmouth Ramper. No, that's not his name. That's a very bad joke. His name is Cornell Wheeler. Get it? Ivy League. Simple machine. Kill me. You can find previous episode 4 in the description below. Have a link to the playlist for the icon above in the corner there as well. YouTube decided to remove the poll feature, so that's why you haven't seen polls on the past couple of videos. News to me as well. Make sure you leave a comment below on who you want to see. I'll have a list here on the available guys remaining in the class to cover. So without further ado, let's get into it. His high school, he went to West Bloomfield High School, 4-year varsity player, 10-2 record as a senior to the state quarterfinals. They reached the state championship in Division I in 2017. He earned D1, D2, first team All-State, both his junior and senior years. Same high school as Makari Page, fellow 2020 class commit safety that I already covered. Maybe I'll put a link for his video as well. So let's move on to his stats. Pretty ridiculous stats here. Senior year, 130 tackles, which is a ton. 10 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. Junior year, he had 165 tackles. That's just an insane number. 12 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, and 3 fumble recoveries. Looking at his metrics, I could not track down a 40 time. His shuttle time and vertical here are both from 2018, so keep that in mind. Vertical is very good at 36.2 for a linebacker. That shows quite a bit of athleticism. His shuttle of 4.95, I'm a little skeptical of. I think he plays a lot better at his change of direction than that shows, so I was a little skeptical there, but the vertical, obviously, very legit. He's listed at between 6 foot and 6'1" and around 220 to 230, so he's pretty close to already ideal playing weight, maybe another 10 pounds of muscle, reform that body a little bit, but he's close. Looking at his rankings, Rivals is the only service to have him as a 4-star. They have him within the top 250 nationally, 16 inside linebacker, and number 6 in Michigan. Interestingly enough, ESPN has him as a 3-star. They rank him higher than Rivals at inside linebacker, but they don't provide a national ranking, and they have him number 15 in the state of Michigan. So a little weird there. 247, I put a question mark next to his national ranking. He's a 3-star, 35 inside linebacker. Appears to be a glitch on their website for the national ranking according to their services, but number 22 in the state of Michigan. That brings his composite just around 500 nationally as a 3-star, around 20 inside linebacker, and 14 in the state of Michigan. So it's interesting to see the difference of rankings from Rivals to 247 there. He did attend some Rivals camps, so that's definitely part of it. 247 is ranking him a bit harshly. They're observing the shift to the Devin Bush mold of inside linebacker, where these guys run 4.5, 4.4 40s on the interior, knifing little space backers kind of. Rivals maybe a little bit high, where they see maybe kind of the traditional mold. If you take 5-10 years back and look at the traditional inside linebacker, Cornell Wheeler's probably a true 4-star. Take the middle road there, and you probably get a guy who's probably 350 to 400 overall, which sounds about right, but he does have the attributes of kind of that classic inside linebacker. So let's look at his recruitment here. He had a couple of first visits to Michigan State in late 2017. Michigan was on him pretty short thereafter. He has been a lifelong fan of the Wolverines, extremely high on them since receiving his offer in February of 2018. Took a couple of visits and committed after visiting Ann Arbor for the Nebraska game in 2018. He's very good friends with Andre Seldon, who is also a longtime in-state prospect, and that helped him get on board, having that relationship with Seldon. So his offer list probably not as impressive given he was such an early commit. So he has Kentucky, Indiana, Iowa State, Minnesota, Missouri, Syracuse, and a host of MAC offers. Ohio State was interested. They wanted to see more film before extending an offer. Nebraska was coming on late. Michigan State was also a little bit too late there. So scouting, there's quite a bit actually on scouting here. I'll run through a list. This is from Rivals, from his coach, from multiple Touch the Banner, from multiple sources here. So Rivals by far the highest, and this is, again, camp related. For being an inside linebacker, they really liked his coverage skills, solid ball skills as well. This is something that was truly a focal point for Cornell Wheeler to improve between his junior and senior year. He really took that to heart, and obviously that showed with that feedback. He had a couple reps at running back and was comfortable catching the ball as well, so that's good to see. He's a very true leader. Movement skills have consistently improved. He's compared to Josh Ross by his head coach, Ron Bellamy, former Michigan guy as well. Physical, instinctive, aggressive linebacker. He's a defensive QB out there, so in terms of alignments, moving people around, calling out coverages, whatever it may be, very smart and one of the true team leaders for West Bloomfield. Very powerful hitter. You can see that in his film. Very good leverage and knee bend. Chases very well sideline to sideline, and not a lot of wasted movement, and that's when they'll focus on quite a bit. He's very technically sound as well. He knifes through gaps pretty quickly. He's best when allowed to attack the backfield. Again, his acceleration is very good. Great at stack and shed. He sidesteps blocks effectively. Good eyes while taking on blocks. I agree with this as well. He's usually able to keep his eyes on target while addressing blocks or sidestepping blocks. And good angles as well. So he has really good work ethic. His coach says he watches a ton of film, which is always good to hear. He did tend to tip his hand a bit when blitzing, so timing can improve, and that'll be really important as he elevates into the collegiate game. And he's not a burner, so he's quicker than fast. His 40 time probably isn't included because I'm guessing it's not great. I don't know. That's just speculation, but it's probably in the upper fours. Final thing, he has a ton of experience at the position. So middle linebacker, he has more experience than any of the other 2020 commits at that position going into Michigan, and he played it throughout his high school career, so that's really good to see. All right, let's take a look at his film here. So for this first section, some QB hits. So whether the quarterback is rolling out and it's a rollout pass or Wheeler is blitzing up the middle, he shows off that acceleration really well. He knifes his way into the backfield really quickly. It stands out at that size, him moving that quick. It looks like he's kind of just gliding over the field. He will have to be careful about late hits when he's arriving at the QB. Obviously, in the NFL, we see the rules change. College are protecting quarterbacks more. So there are a few plays here where he's arriving a step or two too late, and he does get dinged on one of them earlier. That showed a penalty flag coming out. So he will have to keep that in mind. But you can tell he's got a lot of power. He's affecting guys at that speed with just a push, and I like the acceleration he shows. Next on the screen pass here. So he has a really good eye on screen passes. He keeps his eyes in the backfield as the play develops, able to sidestep blocks really well to get to the ball carrier. He has good timing on lane hit on the running back as well out of the backfield. So usually as soon as they're catching, and as you saw that last hit, he just obliterated him as soon as he caught the ball. He's usually right there. So his instincts being at the right place at the right time, his eyes, his ability to sidestep blocks, all of that in combination here makes him a good screen player. A few clips here showing his tracking to the outside. So he again, mirrors the QB and running back really well to the outside. So his first initial step, you don't see a lot of wasted movement. And as soon as he starts running, he's taking pretty good angles there. So there's a couple plays here where he has to redirect his initial angle. You can see on this one, he flattens it out a bit just to get to the quarterback at the time of the throw. So this one as well, he redirects, flattens out his angle, takes on the block there. So he's very comfortable redirecting those angles and operating in space when tracking. And like I said, little to no wasted movement here. That helps alleviate some of those speed concerns. So on the interior, this is where he probably shines the most. And this first play, that acceleration just crazy here. You got a forced fumble on this play again where he stops on a dime, knifes through the A gap, and causes a fumble. So he's a guy who doesn't need a lot of room to show his hitting power, right? He shows a lot of explosion in a short amount of space, and that explosion goes through the hips. You can see how powerful it is when he does make contact with the running back here. So he has good tackling form, so he's not just pushing guys over, using his shoulder. He wraps up really well. He stops their movement without any doubt. So solid technique, and he shuffles really well in his first initial steps when shifting to the correct gap. That's great to see as well. So not a lot of high school film on his pass game right here, his coverage skills. He does look pretty comfortable, again, being in the right place, having good instincts, trusting his eyes. All those things come into play here. Bats down a pass, really nice there. And a little wasted movement, again, makes up for that lack of speed. His skill set spells that he'll be adequate in that regard. He does have one play here, offense blocking. Fullback would be an option if they find enough of a need for it. And then let's look at some camp film here. Let's first look at the good. So he's not a guy set up to shine at a camp, right? He did show some promise sticking with guy in coverage. And like I said, that's something he focused on between his junior and senior year. The cat and mouse game, able to hold his own here. So all of these that I'm showing here are ones where he won. He did lose a few. I'll show those after. But now getting to coverage, he does tend to get a bit grabby, but he's able to stick with guys that I wouldn't expect him to. So good flip of the hips there. Again, he's getting a little grabby there, but he's He's sticking on guys. He's on their hip pocket. He's able to change direction, especially right here, not biting on that double move, turning the head around, getting a hand on the ball. That's a really impressive clip. So now time to show some of the bad. So a lot of these that you'll see him losing in the cat and mouse are against these smaller, really quick twitch running backs. And again, that's just not the kind of guy that you want him matched up on. And now you're transitioning here to these same running back types out of the backfield. These aren't the kind of guys that you want Wheeler to be on, right? So having a good matchup will be important. You want to make sure that when you're considering him in coverage, it's either zone in the middle of the field, not having him on a guy out of the backfield, or if you do, ensure that there's over-the-top help. Again, with little to no wasted movement, I like his technique. Just have to be careful that if there's any man-to-man situation, you have additional help, because with burners, true wide receivers or some quicker running backs, he may struggle a bit. So, and the other thing you can see here is watch out for some potential pass interference. So again, this is a setting that isn't the best for Wheeler's skill set. As a true interior linebacker, you shouldn't see this a whole lot, but it's something you got to keep in mind that teams will try to make that matchup in the future. So for his comp, one that I've seen thrown around quite a bit is Desmond Morgan. So obviously Michigan linebacker, 6'1", 225 out of high school. He was a low 3-star out of high school, just over 1,000 on the composite, 48th inside linebacker, number 20 in the state of Michigan. So again, a true interior linebacker out of the state of Michigan. 4.81 for a 40 at the 2016 Pro Day, 4.19 shuttle, which is a very good shuttle for an interior linebacker, and a 32.5 vertical. So he had an offer list mainly of some MAC offers. He also had Northwestern on that as well. So his scouting out of high school that I could find: tough run stopper, dominant playing strength at the point of attack. He has the size and athleticism for inside linebacker, good hand use, very smart, instinctive linebacker. All areas of coverage will need refinement at the collegiate level. So that sounds pretty similar to what we'll get out of Cornell Wheeler here, especially the smart and instinctive part, their technique and their smarts. That helps alleviate some of the concerns with the overall speed that both of them had to offer. So it'll be interesting. Desmond Morgan turned out to be a pretty solid linebacker for Michigan as an upperclassman. I'd expect the ceiling for Cornell Wheeler to be a bit higher than Morgan. So looking at projection, there's 4 inside linebackers as a part of the 2020 class. Pretty big haul. You have Savage, Hill-Green, and Mullings. So there's room in the 2 deep immediately for one of these 4 to make it. If you combine the already built middle linebacker frame with the experience, with the early enrollee, with the smarts and instincts, it's hard to not bet on Cornell Wheeler there with that combination of his skill set. So he's my bet on the guy who makes it immediately and probably burns a red shirt. Again, if there's a season, please let there be a season. But I think he's a really high floor prospect, just given all of those skills and everything I've seen scouting from his coach. He seems a very dependable player. So I'm really excited for him. I think he brings a very safe option at inside linebacker. His ceiling may be capped at his overall speed, but his skill set, technique, like I said, everything that he brings makes him such a high floor prospect that I have a hard time not seeing him being at least a contributor, if not at least a year starter or multi-year starter. So I'm excited. I think it's a great pickup, great in-state guy, Cornell Wheeler. Let me know what you guys think of Cornell Wheeler. Again, let me know who you want to see for the next episode. And other than that, guys, thanks for watching. As always, stay safe out there and go Blue.